top of his head. Come and listen to the words that he said. If you wasn't sure, well now you will know. It will be one of your favorite shows.
Time for another edition of HossTalks, and joining me in studio for this episode, a former BA badass. You're still a badass. Chris Cochran joining me on the show now. Chris, thanks, dude, for taking time out of pulling maintenance to come up here and chit-chat with me.
Yeah, no worries. Anytime.
So, man, you've been kind of MIA for the past couple of years here. It was kind of funny. Last night we're sitting around talking, and a couple of guys and I were like, oh, dude, Chris Cochran's here. This is going to be sweet. And Shane goes, who's Chris Cochran? And we're like, bro, you got a lot of learning to do. You're going to learn tonight who Chris Cochran is. And sure enough, man, you go lock into the big show tonight here. Where have you been? What's been going on? What's new with Chris Cochran?
Oh, we just decided it was kind of time to take a step back and just kind of reset, It was a good time off, but, I recently had a baby boy a couple months ago, and that kind of sparked the fire again for us to get back involved, and it kind of worked out. Corey and his dad, their previous driver, they kind of split ways and asked kind of what we were doing and see if I was interested, and yeah, sure, let's do it.
So you're right back in it. We rewind a few years back, and you were one of those guys that was in the concept chassis, right? That was kind of like your wheelhouse, the 7C machine. You've won a Tulsa Shootout.
Back in the day.
you've done some pretty spectacular things. How did it all get started for you? Like, was your dad a racer? How did it get started for you guys?
Yeah, it was a family deal. My grandparents raced, so my dad was always around it, and then kind of later on in their life, they got involved. Him and his brother started running full-body cars around Ada and Meeker and all that stuff. And then I was 15, and we decided to go watch a race at I-44, and Dad basically handed the reins over to me. We traded a Wave Runner for an old down tube Profab, I believe what you called it.
Really?
Started running turf tire, and just started from the bottom and worked our way up.
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
Yeah, it was. We learned a lot. I wouldn't have done it any other way. So
you've been, in my eyes, and you may agree or disagree, but in my eyes, you've always been a non-wing guy. Like, take the wings off, get it up wherever you need to go, top of the boards or down around the tires, whatever it seems to need to get done is what you do. Is that your preference over winged racing? I mean, do you consider yourself a non-wing guy?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I've always been faster without it. We've dabbled a little bit with the wing here and there. It's fun, but I just, for some reason, I enjoy without it, and it's what I know. So
it seems like that's been like your niche. Mm-hmm. Like you're really solid. So like we said, back in the day, you got a Tulsa Shootout win. Go back to that day, to that week of the Tulsa Shootout. What was it leading up to that week? Did it feel different than any other year? Were you running better? Were you competitive? More so in the scheme of things? Was the draw better? Just kind of relive that week for me.
So, funny story. The year before that, we were really fast. We made the show. We were running up front. Me and Harlan Halsey, we were sliding each other back and forth, and then for the lead pretty much, and me and him got together and ended up I flipped, and he took him out too. And so after that happened, we come back that next year, and we had something to prove. We knew we had the speed, and Jeffrey Newell was there helping me, and anytime he's spinning the wrenches for me, I just pick up speed. I don't know how, but we just showed up and we had speed. We won every race we were on the racetrack, and it was pretty special. We showed up and it was a feeling we knew we were going to win it.
So it's cool you mentioned Jeffrey, because I was going to bring that up. You, the bond that you two have, buddies, on and off the racetrack. He was a part of your shootout win, and this year you were a part of his, spinning the wrenches on his car. How special was that? Winning one for yourself is pretty cool, but then to see one of your buddies that's tried year after year after year to finally be able to put together a whole week, how special was that for you?
Oh, yeah, it was awesome. Winning it on the driving side and then turn around and, be on the wrenching side of it, and just to see it from that perspective and to see his reaction and for him to enjoy it and me to be right there with him and to share that it was amazing. It was awesome.
Pretty special moment there with your buddy. Outside of racing, you played sports through high school. You went and played some college ball, didn't you? If I remember right. I'm trying to remember. It's I feel like it's been 15 years since I've seen you and like really gotten to chat. What were you into in school? Like, was it something where you were like, man, I want to race more? Or were you more sports oriented and racing kind of came second?
Yeah, so growing up, it was more baseball, sports-wise, and then I turned 15, and that's when we got into racing, and then it was on after that. You know, it was all I wanted to do was just race. Baseball stuck around, you know, obviously to help go to school, and that was first to help with all that. And then as soon as we graduated college, it was all racing all the time. We didn't really do much else and focused on that. So
traveling around racetrack to racetrack over the years, do you have a particular track that just like is like, man, I love going to that place? It's always, you know, super fast, or a track that like is your least favorite. So I want to know your most favorite track, and maybe your most, not maybe your least favorite, but maybe like the track that still challenges you to an extreme that just ticks you off and you're like, I need to figure this place out.
Yeah, that's SIR for sure. That place it's tough. You know, a long time ago it was a different surface and we were pretty fast, but I've always just had really bad luck there. One year I had a carburetor bolt back out and didn't even know it, so running the weekend on that. The next year we went to I think it was a high banks race, and we were leading the first half of the race and went up to adjust my shock, killed it, hit the ignition switch on accident and went to the back. I've had my worst wreck at that place, rode out in an ambulance. That was terrible. So yeah, that place is probably the hardest place, but as far as my favorite, I don't know really. I don't really have a favorite.
Right.
Yeah. I like Port's obviously one of my top because, you know, it's basically where I grew up at racing.
Yeah, you cut your teeth here, right?
For sure. 44 too. That place it's got a lot of speed. I like going there.
I feel like the micro scene, like really, Oklahoma gives you the best of both worlds because I-44 is kind of a bigger track that you carry more speed, and with Port being so small, your reaction time has to be a little bit different. How do you race each track? Because I'm sure you go into it with a different attack, right?
Yeah, somewhat. You know, Port, you're going to be, it's obviously closer quarters, and you're racing a lot of the racetrack more than the people in front of you. And 44 is kind of the same way because you have so much speed that your closing rate's fast, you know, and you have to make sure you pick your move ahead of time and what you're going to do. So, yeah, it's a little bit different in each place.
Are you a guy that that really has to be hands-on, or can you kind of step back and let somebody else take care of the car?
No, I have to be in it, you know, and I pretty much, every team I've ever drove for, I've been pretty fortunate I get to make the calls, and, you know, we work together, and we do what we need to do. So
outside of racing, like you mentioned that you're a new dad now.
Yep.
Life has got to be getting interesting now with a little one, a little bit different world. Where do you see Chris Cochran in the next 5 years? I mean, are you still racing? Are you hanging it up? Is your kid going to play ball sports? Is he going to, like, what do you see? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I definitely want to stay involved in racing for sure. Just to be around it, you know, and if Carson wants to race, absolutely, you know, we'll give it a shot. But if not, we'll do whatever he wants to. I mean, it's kind of one of those deals. We're not going to force anything on him. We'll give him the opportunities, you know, and see what he wants to do, and just kind of have fun with it, you know.
Being involved in the sport and kind of bringing a family up into the racing family is something pretty special that a lot of people, you know, some people may take for granted or don't understand. For those new families coming into racing, for those new drivers that are chasing after their first shootout win or their first day feature win at Port or whatever it may be, what kind of advice could you A, give a parent, and B, give to a driver? Is it two pieces of information, or do you feel like both of them could get like a good piece of advice from one?
Yeah, I'd say for parents, have patience probably. And obviously for a driver, have patience as well. I mean, it's going to take you a while. You know, you're going to tear a lot of stuff up. You're going to have trials, and you're going to go through a lot before you have that first win. You'll get close a lot, you know, and you'll be mad. But you stick it out, and you get that first one, and it just seems like it goes from there. You know, you get confidence, and it takes a while. So.
What's something that you know now that you wish you would have known a little bit earlier in your racing career?
Oh, shoot. Or
something that you may wish that you would have figured out sooner. Like, is it that patience is key?
I think so, yeah. You know, because back in the day, you know, Donnie Crawford, I know how fast he was. And, you know, you you're out there on the racetrack and you think you're cutting a good lap, and then all of a sudden he rips through around you on the middle, and you're on the bottom, and it's like, how'd he do that, you know? And it's frustrating because you don't know how he does it, and there's no substitute for laps. I tell people that all the time. The more laps you get, the better, and that's the best way to learn and follow people like that, or, you know, and just you got to learn and be patient with it. And I'd say talking to people too helps. Obviously, you're going to get a lot of information from some people, some good, some bad, but, you know, pick something and stick with it and don't deviate from that, because if you start trying too many different things, you'll go the wrong direction.
Are you a guy that prefers running the bottom or running the top?
Top, absolutely.
Always. Top's up here, bud.
Oh, yeah, always.
You got the hat to prove it.
I'll run wherever, but, you know, I'm going to go to the top and see what it's like at least. So.
Are you a dry slick guy, or do you want a nice curb to lean on? Do you want like a big heavy track, or do you prefer dry slick track?
Dry most of the time, yeah.
Cowboy up or just smooth as glass?
It don't matter.
It don't matter. Just give me a racetrack.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you an early morning guy? Have you become an early morning guy with a kiddo now?
So I used to be a night owl, but, you know, I started this new job at Tinker. Well, I say new, 5 years ago, and we get up. I have to get up at 4 in the morning, so that's kind of shifted my hours to the morning. But
right.
Yeah. So now we don't get much sleep. So
now it's you get what you get whenever you got it, and you just get after it.
Yeah.
Are you an orange juice or a milk guy whenever you have breakfast?
Oh. Man, I don't drink either one of those.
Neither one?
No, coffee.
Coffee,
yeah.
man.
Yeah.
You know, I've never been a coffee drinker. I like just the smell of it is good enough for me. Like, I'm not a hot beverage drinker.
Mm-hmm.
Do you prefer Facebook over Twitter, or do you stay away from the social media stuff?
I get on it quite a bit, but I never post much. You
right.
know? I like to keep up with things, but I don't really get on there and say anything.
Is there a class of car that you wish you could race that like you still have, you know, do you want to go try like a midget, or do you want to try and race a wing sprint car or anything like that? Do you have any admiration to do anything like that?
I mean, I've been pretty fortunate to drive quite a few race cars, and micros is just kind of where I've always been good at, what I've known, and I think I'm right where I should be. So
right there in the comfort zone right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people like that. You know, everyone always, man, this guy should go do this or go do that. And
I mean, for the money we spend and the money that we race for, you know, there's a lot of good money shows, and we're competitive wherever we go in the country. So it's like, why change that? You know?
Yeah, excellent. If you could describe Chris Cochran's driving style in one short sentence, or one like just a brief, maybe a word, how would you describe your driving style?
Always do it the hard way. I usually do. You know, we locked in last night, but most of the time, just always make it hard on myself most of the time.
Right.
So,
in closing, is there anything that you feel like maybe people don't know about you that you could share? Or do you feel like you're pretty much an open book and it's pretty easy to figure Chris Cochran out?
It depends on who you are, I guess. I'm pretty self-reserved most of the time until I get to know you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, I'm pretty quiet most of the time.
Well, pretty quiet most of the time, but he's spent 13 minutes here on HossTalks. Guys, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode.